Now you're going to know that you're becoming emotionally dysregulated due to something triggering your trauma. And this feeling washing over you that you could almost pass out from, it's adrenaline. And you need to burn that adrenaline. So it's a small window. Your emotions begin to boil over to the point where you need to urgently leave by any means possible. You watch yourself derail aspects of your life that you've been working towards, like a bystander just watching things happen. And why does it feel like there's nothing you can do? Because technically in that moment, there is nothing you can do. What's going on is that something in your environment, whether it's something someone said, people, a group dynamic, a work dynamic, something in your environment is telling your brain, hey, we've seen this before. This was painful. This was dangerous. We've seen something like this before. You better get out. You better get out fast. Here's some adrenaline. Take this. You're going to need it. Get out for your survival by all means necessary. We've seen this. It was scary. It didn't feel good. It didn't turn out good. I'm protecting you from getting hurt again. That's my job. I'm your brain. It's my job to perceive danger and give you what you need as information and chemicals to escape the situation. So this is why you're feeling like you're in a trance-like state on the outside watching in, because your brain is pumping you with adrenaline to escape that lion. And the lion could be something a coworker is saying. It could be something that happens in a relationship that reminds you of something that happened in a relationship that was painful to you. So whatever the reason is, there was trauma there in some way, and your brain wants you to prevent being hurt again. So your brain is giving you adrenaline to run away. But because you're not running away, you're usually standing still having a conversation, expected to maintain eye contact and speak properly. You can't run away. You have to sit and navigate your danger or perceived danger from a standing position. So all this adrenaline rushing into your body, it makes you feel a little bit woozy, like you're in a trance, like you can't see because your body's not burning this adrenaline. You've heard of this happening a lot with veterans. They come back from war. There could be a loud bang or a door slam, and it triggers memories of bangs that they experienced, that when they heard bangs in the past, there was danger. People died, lives were lost, destruction occurred. And so when they hear a bang, even if it's slamming of a door or, a car backfiring or something, all their trauma comes back to them. And they become who they were in that moment on the battlefield, even though they might be standing in the city or home with family now. It's home safe, there's no danger around them, but their brain is saying, when you hear a big bang, protect yourself, here's some adrenaline, go! But now, when you hear a bang, you have to stay still and act like a normal human being that is composed. Who's composed and healed. Just like the veteran is back on the battlefield when they hear a door slam. When you're at work and there's a conversation going on or some office politics going on that begins to trigger your memories of when this was painful in the past, you could find yourself arguing when you know it's time to be composed and speak properly and articulate your ideas clearly. You might become overwhelmed and want to raise your voice or cut people off and behave in a way that is not conducive to resolving a problem. And you can't. You have adrenaline pumping through your brain, so you can't. I get it. You find yourself quitting jobs because you can't express yourself. You can't get a hold of your clarity enough in that moment. You'll say whatever it takes to get out of the situation. You're in flight or fight mode. You're in survival mode. You cannot make decisions from a clear place. You don't have access. Your neurological pathways are not able to access that kind of peace and tranquility. The big thing is also the urgency in which your brain is telling you to resolve this problem and go. There is an urgency that comes with this adrenaline and this survival mode that you go into. So the urgency could be to end a relationship that you otherwise would like to work on, or quit a job that you would like to continue in. And because you're being signaled that your survival depends on the speed in which you resolve this safety issue, you will send that text message quickly or send that resignation quickly, because the quicker you do it, the quicker you start to feel better and more regulated. So the second you quit the job, the second you send that person packing, the second you leave the party and you get in your car, the danger is gone, you can start to think again clearly. The adrenaline starts to reduce. You start to come back to your senses. And what do you realize? Damn, I regret quitting that job. I love that job. I worked so hard. I just got a promotion. What am I doing? Now what do I do? You start to assign reasons to what happened. You start to say, oh, well, the system, or you say, oh, this person, they have a clique. And maybe some of these reasons are true, maybe they're not. But the point is, you're trying to make sense of what caused you to react so abruptly. And sometimes you'll find good reasons. Well, I would never have done that if they weren't like this. What am I supposed to do? And at some level it makes sense, but also at some level it doesn't, because you're in charge of your life. Nobody can control you, really. So what happens next is regret sinks in. You regret it. Not only that, you feel embarrassed that you acted like a child, and you realize you'll never really bounce back in the eyes of this group because you've already shown dysregulation, and that's exactly what it is. It's emotional dysregulation that's happening to you, and it's happening to you because something in your environment is triggering some kind of trauma. So if you were a child and you were ganged up on at home, so now you're at work and something happens in a meeting that kind of feels a little bit like, hey, am I being ganged up on here? Your brain can tell you this is bad. This makes you feel depressed. This makes you feel suicidal. You need to get out of here quick. People are ganging up on you, just like back when. And your brain is sending you adrenaline, telling you to get out of this work situation. You quit that job and you run. You say what you have to say, and they say, no, don't quit. Why would you do it? We really appreciate what you're doing here. No, I need something different. I know whatever. And you say something to justify, I don't like it here. I'll never. You need to justify the moment. You need to leave. And although there's adrenaline coming through your body telling you to run, you can't run. You have to speak with composure, and because you need a reference when you leave this place for the next gig you get. And you begin to feel afraid of what's happening, your trauma, and what your brain is telling you, and how to protect your trauma, and the chemicals your brain is sending you to get yourself out of this traumatizing, dangerous situation. It creates a mess, and you become completely dysregulated in that moment. It could be because some people ganged up on you or laughed at you at work. It could be because a guy said something that some previous guy said, or looked similar to him, or said something similar, or behaved similar in some sort of way to someone who hurt you. Now you're ending a relationship with this guy because your brain is telling you that it's dangerous. Get out. Okay, so there's not much you can do about your past. There's not much you can do about the things that happened to you, that put you in danger, that put you in fear and in survival mode, and how things that resemble that come up today. What can you do about that? Are you doomed for life? I don't think so. I think we're more empowered than ever, that we realize that we are becoming emotionally dysregulated due to trauma, and that it's a chemical response we're going through. It's not because we're crazy, and it's not because we're weak. It's because we're human and we experience certain things that affect a human in this way. Here's how we're going to change our results and therefore our life. From now on, when we start to notice we're getting triggered in any situation, we start to feel a little unsafe. Well, you might notice it when there's that urgency to get out of the situation, an urgency to say something, an urgency to get off the phone, an urgency to leave the party, an urgency to quit the job. When you feel that urgency coming up, there's almost never that much urgency to quit a job. I can remember quitting a job on Christmas Eve once. Is that an appropriate time to resign from a job you love? No. How does that feel, to resign from a job you love? It feels like self-sabotage. You worked for this, you got this, you're maintaining this, and now you're leaving this. So when trauma gets triggered, you start to sabotage yourself from getting the things you want. With practice, when you begin to feel that sweat come over you and you start to see fog and you just want to punch the situation in its face and run away and never look back, when you start to feel that way, now you're going to know that you're becoming emotionally dysregulated due to something triggering your trauma. And this feeling washing over you that you could almost pass out from, it's adrenaline. And you need to burn that adrenaline. So it's a small window. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know it's a small window between I need to save myself and a moment of clarity with, but right, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. So that's what we're looking for here, to create a little bit of a time gap and burn that adrenaline. Walk it off. If you play sport, that would be a good time to, shoot some hoops or whatever you do, but try to get out of the situation as politely as possible while you have a little bit of composure left in you. It could be tricky if they're saying, no, don't go, and you really want to go, they're getting in your way. You might say something you regret. It is very possible that when you feel that kind of urgency to leave and someone's trying to make you stay, you will say words that you don't mean. You might do things that you don't mean. And so with practice, you're going to be able to grab hold of that short window when you start to dysregulate and say, okay, all right, here we go. I'm going to have to step away from this. You have a call to go make. You have to, there's really nothing wrong with saying, I need to walk away from this. It is sort of, if you want to say it shows weakness that you can't conduct yourself in the meeting and continue on with this and you need to pick up and leave, it does look a little bit weak, but it looks so much better than starting to cry and quitting your job or something to that effect. Let's stop sabotaging our life. Let's stop derailing everything that we're building and finally plant some roots. When these incidents come up in our life that start to trigger our past trauma and we feel that we're emotionally dysregulating, losing control, and kind of boiling up over with emotions and need to flee or fight in this situation, there's a small window where you can say, aha, I know what's happening, and I'm not going to let this derail my life again. I'm not going to let this uproot me again. I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to say, would it be okay? I'm feeling really triggered right now. Is it okay? I need to take a walk, and I'll come back, and we can talk about this, but I might need some time. That's what I need. That's what I need to be comfortable. Can we have this meeting a little bit later? Can I come back? Can I have a 5-minute bathroom break and come back? This could be all it takes to just have a deep breath, ground yourself, recognize you're not in any actual danger. Calm your nerves and buy yourself some time that you can go home, self-care, pamper yourself, cry, read, do what you need, journal, do what you need to do to regulate yourself, and don't have that conversation until you're ready to, until you're in a good place and you're clear on what you want and you can articulate that properly. I went through my whole life being triggered in school, in friendships. I have ended friendship after friendship. I've quit job after job. And I always thought, well, I wouldn't be in this situation and if it weren't for how this company ran their whatever, I wouldn't be in this situation if it weren't for that boss that put in place that, they did this and they did that. I wouldn't be. And the thing is, you're self-sabotaging yourself and you don't even realize it because you're pointing the finger over there. It's their fault. It's their fault. It's this system. It's this structure. Well, it's your trauma. And I want to give you a big hug when I say that because I know what that feels like when your past things that you didn't consciously choose in your life affect your life forever and derail your life and cause you to have to start over again and again or never quite get your roots in like you need in order to thrive. So now you know what's going on and now you know what to do. And it'll get better with practice. Slowly, as you're ready, begin to put yourself in more and more situations where you will have opportunities to practice calming your trigger when that occurs, so that you don't continue in the same patterns that you've been in, and so that you can get different results. I'm excited. You can do this. My name's Ruth Ann, and this is Brain War. Thanks for watching.